Hello everyone. So I don't know if you can tell, I'm on Chicago right now. I am in Minnesota, just outside of St. Paul at Bailey Nurseries, and I'm here for a creators event. About half the people I've met before, which is great to see them again, and the other half are people I've followed for years and finally get to meet in person. So we had a welcome dinner last night, and then today is a tour of all of the gardens. So we're gonna start with a tour of the propagation area, tour around the display garden, and just learn about all the beautiful plants that they have. And obviously, I'm gonna share everything that I can with you here. But I am already, even just driving in, I was already oohing and ahhing on the bus ride in.
St. Norm back in 1981. That's the year I happened to start here. So I watched it grow from an alfalfa cornfield to what it is today.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Established in 1981. So we're going to just drive around the perimeter, just give you some scope of it.
We're coming back here twice.
Oh my god, that's so cool. That looks like an ice cream cone.
So this farm is for propagation. And Brian wanted to start us here, which makes sense. This is where it begins. And propagation of plants is very important in our industry. If we produce a good plant and send it to a container field to grow on in a can, or we send it out to a bare root field to grow a bare root tree or shrub, if we start with a good liner, it makes their job a lot easier. Yields are increased. It's no different than if you go to a retail garden center and you buy a good quality plant that's well branched, and then it'll do better in your garden than something that doesn't fit. We propagate over 6 million liners from April 1 through August. And then we do additional liners, plant liners. We purposely grow a plant that is durable. Kind of like your iPhones now, they last longer than they used to. Well, you guys are so dumb. But the old ones, they used to break as soon as you dropped them, now they don't. Well, that's what we're built, that's what we're breeding. Well, the androids are fine too. But we're breeding plants that are durable, long-lasting, handle disease, wind and rain. Hydrangea arborescens coming out, not just flowerful, but I expect 5 to 10 more coming out that are, let's just say, an upgrade over what's on the market. Water, light, and then mowing back is critical. Cutting back or pruning is critical to the success of a plant, especially at this stage. And once this is well rooted, we're going to come in here and we're going to take that flower off. Why do you think we're doing that? Branching. We're going to get branching and all of that's all right, but most important is branching. On the paniculatas, especially like little hotties, the dwarf paniculatas don't like to branch. So we go in here with a mower, and you may see a mower, and whatever doesn't get mowed, you pinch by hand. We have newer mowers, but functionally, this is how we mow our plants. One person can pull this mower down the beds, and these have to be gassed, but now we're going all electric battery. Of course, everything's going battery, which is great. You don't have the environmentally, battery's better, right? You don't have the noise, the pollution, and our people that mow love the batteries. So this one's getting phased out. We have 5 mowers. I think we have 4 new ones. I don't know. But again, mowing and pruning is critical to our plants. As you look around, our goal is 85% rooted. Okay? If we don't do 85%, we got to recut and replant. Okay, so this is Almus or Elm, and this is the first edition. This is one of our babies right here. It's called St. Croix, and all of our elms that we produce are Dutch elm resistant, of course. This was stuck in June, and this is going to be harvested. Well, all these cuttings will be harvested in November, December. So all going into our cold storage at 35 degrees. And then throughout the winter, we process them, meaning we grade them We look at the roots, we look at the tops. Now the beautiful thing about the way we grow elms, it's unique in that we actually send this out to the fields in May, and then they actually bud them later. So we don't even care if they don't have a leader, because we're gonna bud them later, like we bud apples for trees. Years ago, we tried to grow these straight up, and it just didn't work. So the first year, they're just grown, flushed out. The next year, they're budded, and they grow like crazy. In the fields, when a tree has a good root system, that's critical to the success. We want a root system that's not J-rooted and such, but mostly important, the tops will only grow as fast as the root is. You know, it starts with the root, everything. So. Endless Summer Original. We tested this thing for 10 years before we introduced it to make sure we got it right. That's what Bailey's is about, testing and retesting. We don't want to put a dog out in the market and get our customers discouraged. You send a plant that dies and the homeowner has to deal with it. It doesn't help our business. We're celebrating 20 years of marketing Endless Summer. It's been the most exciting thing in my 43 years. I love brands. I love colored pots. Keep it interesting.
I'm in the display garden again now, and we just have time to wander around. So let's do that. And I don't know if I talked much about Bailey in the beginning, but if you don't know the name of that nursery, you probably know Endless Summer Hydrangeas. That's how I thought Endless Summer was just a very popular variety before I knew about gardening, but that is the hydrangea brand that I'm most familiar with. It's what's mostly carried at the garden centers around me, but look, I mean, you can tell that they are known for their hydrangeas. These alliums are stunning. Mine haven't bloomed yet that I started from seed from Prairie Moon, but I'm hoping next year I'll finally have some blooms. So they aren't really in the annual space. They are in perennials, shrubs, hydrangeas, roses, and I think, oh, I know you can't smell it, but I just got a good whiff of the alliums. I know that in my garden, what is a challenge for me is keeping perennials alive over winter, especially if I'm not gonna overwinter them in the garage, which just isn't feasible for most of the plants. So there's gonna be time tomorrow to kind of talk with them about your specific garden, and then they'll be giving us recommendations. So I'm very, very excited for that. Okay, look at this angle of the hydrangea, and that is one plant. Obviously, I cannot grow something that large. Maybe someday. I'm trying to find the tags, but that one's probably on the other path. So we'll make our way around, but let's continue on over here. Man, these alliums. So I never thought I really loved alliums, and they are native, which is great in our area. And seeing them growing like this in bunches just makes me fall in love with them. So I'm so excited. I'm popping out of the garden for a second. This whole thing's a nursery, but I'm popping out of the display garden because look at this. So this is one of the things on the bus when we drove in that just took my breath away. I mean, it's just a mound of hydrangeas. I do know that it is a little hottie along the bottom, and it was strawberry something, the one that's growing up top, but look at that. Now I'm just walking around Hydrangea Mountain. Hydrangea Mountain is what I've decided this is going to be named. Okay, here we go. Here is a name tag. Oh, okay, perfect. So we have the little hottie right here in front. This is a Hydrangea paniculata. I need this in my garden. I think they said 3 to 5 feet. I'm hoping by growing it in a container, it would stay more in that 3 feet, because look how full of blooms that is. Then we have the berry white hydrangea, which I'm assuming is the next layer up. That's also a panicle hydrangea. And then vanilla strawberry. I'm assuming that is what is at the tippy top. So 3 layers of hydrangeas. I'm also standing in a road, so probably make sure I'm not gonna get hit by a car. All right, no vehicles coming. Everything looks good from behind. Now I know on the agenda, I'm back in the display garden now, but I know on the agenda we are coming back here for dinner, I'm pretty sure. So when the sun's a little bit down, maybe right around golden hour, I will definitely show that hydrangea mountain again. But now let's go look at all the other pretty things in the display garden. Ooh, look at this solidago. I have been loving black flowers and black foliage that I've been seeing. I don't have a lot in my garden, but it's so unique I need to add some for sure. Let's climb up this path because it is full of pink and purple, which is my dream, and a little hint of orange. Oh my gosh, their coneflowers are so much happier here than they are by us. Look at how huge those are. This path is probably my favorite part so far. Still wandering around, but also stopping to talk to people. So it's a hard balance of trying not to ignore everyone just to get things on camera, but also talk to all the other amazing gardeners that are here. But this is another, I really like the foliage color on this. So this is Lambrusco barberry. I probably don't have room for this anywhere anyways, but I have such limited space and I fall in love with so many things, and that is the hardest part, I feel like, of small gardening. But then on the plus side, and I've talked with some of the people here that do have like acres of land, I mean, maintenance for me does not take a ton of time. I don't weed unless the maple trees are trying to grow in my pots. I don't have to deal with a lot of pests like rabbit and deer that they have to deal with. So I like the size of my garden in terms of maintenance not taking over, where it feels like I'm always just working in the garden and have a long list of things to do, even though I can spend a whole day there anyway. But I don't know if I would ever want a very large size garden, but I know if I did, I would just fill it with so many more plants that I love and have so many more options. So I don't know, there's benefits and disadvantages to both. Okay, this is the view. And I think, like I said, I think we're coming back here tonight to show this off when it's not such harsh lighting, because I feel like the plants look so much more stunning than they're picking up on camera, but this is beautiful.
About 530 of that this year has been rented to local farmers. That's what that corn is back there. So if we're not going to use the fields for our own production, we rent the land out. It's good for the soil, obviously, to get something in it and turn it up. And it has a little bit less traffic as our nursery stock does. So it really rests our fields pretty well.
We are in hydrangea heaven. So we are at the Hydrangea Fields, obviously. Right now, this isn't the only location where they grow the hydrangeas. They also said there are a lot that are growing in Oregon. Look at this. First of all, the ratio of bloom to leaves is fantastic. And I also, I think we can, yeah, people are walking through this, we can walk through this. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is actually, maybe I should tell you which ones we were walking by before it doesn't even say, that just says 130. Let's see, which ones are you? Oh, this is Bobo. So this is proven winners. I'm pretty sure it says Hydrangea Panicle Bobo PW. So I feel like these are the Bobos. Okay, let's continue on instead of just gasping. Oh, this is where you want to be. There's a battle of the drones happening right now, which if you're gonna take a drone, this is the place to take it. Heading down to these, where the blooms are already starting to change to pink. Yeah, so that's the Hydrangea Panicle Bobo, which is all of that there. And then we have the first edition's Strawberry Sundae. Look at these. Okay, how do I get a hydrangea field onto a rooftop deck. Because even if I just walked out and had no other plants and just rows of hydrangeas, I think I would be set with that. Oh, this makes me so happy. I think you can tell by where everyone is that this is our happy place right now. Coming up to some other pretty ones. So still looking at Bobo's here. And this is berry white. Look at how big these are. So let's do a little hand comparison here to how large those blooms are.
In the wintertime, all this stuff is wintered right where it is. Sometimes in those houses, sometimes it tips over and it's laying right on the ground. And then we'll cover it with molly and Sudan grass. Nice thing with the Sudan grass is it is a double use. So where you were driving earlier in the barrel field, we do have sorghum or Sudan grass growing. We harvest it, bale it, and then it'll come here. And we use it to cover the plants. That next spring, we pull it all together, and then we compost it. We use it into our pots the next year. We're doing that instead of using our junk grinding from our old expired plants, is because it gets hotter when composting, and it'll actually kill the Japanese beetle grub. So a lot of what we do here is decided by the pests, the Japanese beetles. So much of what my cook does is taking care of those pests as well as making sure we can ship our plants.
You will notice back there we have some stage prune back there. Obviously stage pruning is a big component of this operation. So I'm gonna walk you through some of the prunings that we do. So when we, like Zach mentioned, everything is overwintered outside, consolidated, and then in the spring we gotta uncover everything, right? That typically happens in about mid to late March. I wanted to say that before Bailey's introduces a new plant, before we mass produce them, they come to me and see if I can kill them. So I'll explain here. So basically, because sometimes we want to make sure that the plant performs, right? And because we're also gonna produce it internally here, and not just so we produce it internally. So we wanna produce a low maintenance plant. So my job is to put it into some top situations and see if it'll make it through. And the most recent one is flower fall. So I've been playing with flower fall for a couple of years. I don't give them a special treatment, where I need to apply more, extra care, pretty much. I just gotta, in a perfect world, from a nursery man, it's just plant them, water them, and just let them be. That's our goal. We don't want to baby plants.
Hello everyone. So it is the last day of the Bailey event and it ends at noon. I think it's at, it's 11 right now, so we don't have that much time, but today we are at the tent where they're setting up for the expo. So they have an expo Thursday, which is for their customers. So it's just a week of events for them, but they gave us a plant list and we are gonna walk around, look at plants and get ideas for what might work in our garden. So for me, I think I might be the person with the most limited space here. So I'm looking for things that stay compact. I would say my maximum should really be 3 feet at maturity, both tall and wide. There are some that are 4 feet. Then I'm like, can I squeeze them somewhere? And I want them to be at least zone 3 hardy, because 2 zones colder, I don't want to have to store them in the garage. There's not enough room. I cannot take up more space than I already plan to do for like my dahlias and the things that I bring down normally. So zone 3, something 3-ish, maybe 4 feet. So I'm gonna wander around. I'll also show you some of the plants that I probably can't have in my garden, but are still really pretty. The most talked about hydrangea seems to be the flowerful. So I'll see if I can find that first, and then we will just tour the expo. This is one of the rows of the flower hole. They have a lot of this throughout the expo display. So let me see, I think this is 5-6 feet at maturity, but it has very strong stems. So it is a smooth hydrangea that won't flop over in the rain, but I think it's too large. I like it a lot. I can't. I know it's just not right for my space. Again, maybe one day when I have a yard, but this is a new release for 2025, but I think that is really pretty. White flowers have been really growing on me this year. I'm usually not a white flower person, but the more I add to my garden, I like the peacefulness that they bring to the space. Also, they have signs welcoming people, obviously, into the expo, and this is the guy that gave us the tour of the Propagation Area yesterday. He was really funny, really nice, really knowledgeable, obviously. Here's another line of the flower hole. So the hydrangeas that work best for me to not have to put in the garage over winter are the panicle hydrangeas. Those are usually cold hardy down to zone 3. So that's probably what I'll go for the most if I do have space to add more hydrangeas. Again, I do have some hydrangeas that are like zone 4, 5, but those go down to the garage. But I don't want to add any more plants, famous last words, I don't want to add any more plants that I have to, again, store somewhere else or move for the winter. Like maybe I'll tuck them, move them to a certain area of the deck, cover them with a tarp, but that's the most I want to do. So some things that I could have, these alliums here. Again, I have my own that I started from seed. Could always potentially add more, but something I really like that I can't have is this dwarf Korean lilac. I mean, actually, no, this will be too big. I know this is just a display for the event, but hydrangea wall inspiration. Let me see if I can tell how these are tucked in. I assume they're still in their pots and just kind of set to the side in the racks there, but I mean, hey, a whole wall of hydrangeas. I can make it happen. Here's the eclipse, which I know is also a highly coveted one. None of these are in bloom, but the foliage, even the foliage just makes it worth it. Here is what it looks like in bloom. So it has that deeper pink flower, which is a perfect complement to the dark leaves. Now this one isn't really in my size or hardiness requirements because it's only hardy down to zone 5. It can get up to 5 feet tall and wide, but I still really love it. A bunch of trees that I can't fall in love with, but look at how pretty this lilac is as well when it's in bloom. The ivory silk Japanese tree lilac. Not in bloom right now. What also would work is some Liatris spicata. So I remember this name from my horticulture classes where we had to memorize the natives. This is one of them that I remember because it's so fun to say, but this is about the size that it will get, and I'm pretty sure this is 2 plants in there. It's native and the pollinators love it. So I think that would be perfect in my containers, and also hardy to zone 3, so wouldn't have to move it into the garage. This bubblegum pink phlox also caught my eye because I will take anything that is pink. So this one is zones 3 through 8 and size is 22 tall and 24 inches wide, 22 inches, not feet. This would be a perfect addition, and paired with the eclipse hydrangea, which again I don't think I have room for, but I think the blooms on this are very similar tone of pink, so these would be perfect together. And then what's in front of it here? Some coral bells. I like coral bells in the parkway, but I feel like for my garden I don't love them as much up there, but don't tell them. They're still really pretty. We're heading to lunch back at the display garden, and this is the last event, and it's making me sad. So I think everyone, except for me, flew in, so everyone is leaving. We are staying for a little bit longer to visit some friends and then heading back tomorrow. Well, I'm back at the hotel now, and I'm the only one. Everyone else flew out right after we had lunch, and I miss them already. I feel like we were having such a good time and so much was happening that then it was time to go, and we kind of didn't realize that was gonna be the last time for this trip that we got to see each other. So I did give some hugs. I think some of them might already be flying back now, but I had such a good trip. First of all, the team at Bailey. So Ryan, Katie, and Gretchen were the main ones that were planning the event. They did a fantastic job. So I used to, for my job, travel around and also help put on events, not for plants, for digital marketing. I know what a well-run event does and doesn't look like. This was fantastic. Even before we got here, any questions that we had, they had all the information organized and laid out. So it was just fantastic. We're going to be lucky enough to get some plants. Like I said, I'm looking for the compact, cold hardy plants to add to my garden. And everyone was just really nice. That's probably what is the best part. And the part that has been like the most pleasantly surprising is that everyone at the events is just so nice. So I think that's going to be it for now. But if you have any questions about the events, about plants that I showed, but you might not have actually gotten the name for as I was going around, let me know down below. But that's going to be everything. I had such a great time, and I was so happy and so lucky to get invited to this. So I will see you all very soon. Bye.